Hey, good morning, fam. I'm just going to get on here real quick. I wanted to do my midweek motivation. I've already been out, did my walk, did everything. I got to dive into some work. So today's message is stay in the game. Delayed is not denied. And we really have to realize that nothing worth having is going to be easy. It's going to be overnight. I know we live in a fast world, a fast environment, and the misconception is that there are shortcuts. We don't have to work for things. We have a whole generation who feel that they're entitled to things, that things should be given to them. As parents, we have given too much to our children. To the extent that a lot of times they don't want to work for things. So I want to say that we need to stay on our grinds, that we need to understand that delayed is not denied. And if you think about anything, I always say the old-fashioned way still works. Picking up your phone, calling people, going and sitting face to face, that still works. That's still a great way to connect with people. I don't know what's going on with my throat. But anyway, so yeah, I mean, if we think about, I see a lot of people, well, my friends are having grandchildren at this point, but there's people, when they're carrying children, that has not changed. It's still 9 months. It's still 40 weeks. You can't do it in 10. There are other things like having other people carry your children in certain circumstances, but it's still a 9-month process. It's still 40 weeks. College programs are still what they are. There are accelerated programs. But if you go to a traditional, it's still going to be 4 years. It's going to be 8 semesters. It's going to be 15 weeks per semester. It's going to be what it is. So some things take as long as they take. When we're running our businesses, we don't know necessarily how long things will take. And yes, we'll get breaks. Yes, we'll get hookups. Yes, we'll get connected to people, and we'll get great, things that happen to us along the way, but we need to toil. I mean, if we look even in the entertainment industry, I remember specifically a couple years ago, there was an interview with Anthony Hamilton, and they called him an overnight success. And he said, yes, this overnight success took me 15 years. So even in that, just understanding that, just because you see somebody just popping up and seemingly like they have just come on the scene, they've been toiling for years, year in and year out. So just understand that the things that are worth having are worth working for. And you may not see the fruit right now, but it doesn't mean that God's not working behind the scenes on your behalf, because, he is. Just understand that. And I really couldn't understand the relationship between God and myself until I had a child, until I had my daughter. And, at 1 and 2, when, she's walking and she wants to touch everything under the sun, and she would go to the oven. And, when I'm cooking and she just wants to go to the oven, and I kept, trying to block her from going over there or telling her, let's go in another room. But she was so interested because I guess she saw me going in there, maybe checking the food or putting something in there. And maybe the lights were on and something was just interesting to her there. So I decided I'm not going to be doing this every day, chasing her and she's running to the oven. So I took her to the oven and I put her hand on the oven and she pulled it back real quick. And I said, my phone is on 10%. And I said, that's hot. Don't touch. And then to this day, she's 24. If I open the oven, she leaves the room. So she would, I would say, okay, I'm going to open the oven and it's hot. And she would go out of the kitchen. But it was like an open way so she could still see, but she was far from it. And so that, it was clearer to me because her level of understanding was here when mine was here in comparison. And that's what it is with God. And so our understanding is here, maybe there, in comparison to God's understanding. So just know that sometimes, and I can give you a great example. When we're planning a trip for the girls, or even an activity, we may plan, let's say, to take them to Disney, let's say, and we don't tell them. They don't have any clue. But we're behind the scenes, and we're buying clothes, we're getting sunscreen, we're buying travel size things, we're booking air, we're booking Airbnb or hotel, we're booking rental car, we're buying the tickets for the park, we are making sure they have bathing suits and everything. We're thinking about what we need to do while we're there, the activities. We're planning each day which park we're going to go to, or what activity, if there's some extra things that we want to do while we're there. We're planning the trip. We're planning, taking off from work and all these things that goes into the trip. And they have no idea. And all they're going to do is just show up and go. So, but as adults, things don't happen so mechanically for us. But as we're toiling with our goal, as we're trying to figure it out, let's say it's a job, you're on a job and you're working hard and you want this promotion for this job. You want to become a manager, or you want to become a vice president, and you've been at the job for 5 or 6 years and you think you're deserving. And maybe even you're hearing maybe of an opening coming up, and you put in your time and you feel like you've done it all. You have the education, so you have your credentials, you have your work experience, you have everything. According to you, and you're more than qualified, and you're just maybe you was passed over before in the past at that same company, and now you feel like this is it. If this doesn't happen for me, I'm leaving. I'm going somewhere else because I don't feel valued here. I don't feel well compensated, or whatever the issue is. And so I would say stay on the course, because you don't know what it's going to take to get you to that VP position. Okay, so maybe the position may be opening. Maybe, that's the case, but God's working that thing out for you. So it may mean that, so let's say now it's June. So let's say the VP that's currently there is planning to retire, and you know about that. And they're planning to retire at the end of the year. And so now you're breaking your neck to try to figure out how can you be considered for that? And maybe you have some, a friend or somebody in HR, and you're putting it out there, and they're like, okay, but it's the opportunity's not open yet, but when it opens, I'll let you know, or something. But it may mean a whole lot of things, because that person, I don't know, they may have gotten grandfathered into a certain salary, something in the past. They upper management or senior management may be deciding, or even the board of directors may be deciding to change the role. They don't want, the way that they were doing it. The person had been there maybe 25 years, and they realize they don't even want those responsibilities or that skill set anymore. They want something different. So they have to change it. And, those things take months. HR has to create a new job description. They have to create, what they want to do. And these are confidential things that they can't share with you. So now they're deciding on that, and they're going to open up this role. And they still have to extend it outside. Even if they determine that they're going to hire from within, they got to go outside. They got to do that whole formality piece so they can prove that they've interviewed several people, and all of those things. So they have to do what they have to do. And, so you're waiting. So maybe the person left in December, but that job opening has not opened yet. You haven't seen any postings. You don't want to keep bothering the girl in HR, but you kind of been bothering her like every month, and nothing has transpired yet. And so And she may not even be involved in it. It could be like her boss involved in that process. So she may not even know what's going on. There's a lot of things that has to happen sometimes for you to move from this position to that position. So maybe that person is gone, and maybe they hired a temp even to fill the position temporarily until they can figure out what they're doing. And it could be a whole year before they get it all done, before that new job description has been made. Maybe it had to be approved by 5 people. People are on vacation, people are having whatever issues, some other things are going on in another location that they have to tend to now. They don't have time to deal with this. And so you're expecting that it rolls smoothly, but it does not. So while we're moving forward in our journeys and trying to achieve our goals, just know that it's not gonna go the way we think it's gonna go. It just doesn't happen like clockwork. Sometimes we apply to jobs and we think that automatically they're not doing nothing else but waiting for your application to come in. That is not the case. When I bid for things, and even if someone tells me they want to order, they want to place something, and I could put it all together, and they could literally take a month before they buy it. And I'm like, okay, here it is. And they could tell me, I want it now. I'm excited about it. I love it. This looks great. I'm ready to buy it. And I'm like, okay. And then days go by, weeks go by. And then you want to check in with them, but you don't want to seem too pushy. But you're like, what's up? What you doing? It doesn't happen the way you think it should happen. So now it's a year later. No, the position's never been filled. They just did whatever they need to do. There's a temp in there, and they redistributed the work responsibilities. Some things got eliminated, period. You are angry. You leave, right? You gave up. You moved on. And then maybe 6 months after that, they announced a VP there. But you moved yourself out of the position. You moved yourself out of position. So stick with a thing. I posted a couple of days ago something that really stuck with me, and it said to be like a postage stamp and stick with something until you get there. And that stuck with me because I am not that way at all. Not that I don't stick with things, but I am not tunnel focused. So I may be working on 5 things at the same time. I'm always doing a lot of things as opposed to just sticking with a thing until it's finished and then moving on to the next thing. And I think I always say I'm ADHD-ish. I think it has to do with my attention span. It has to do with sometimes you can only get but so far, and you send it to somebody and you're waiting for the response, particularly as it pertains to, like a shirt order. Maybe I'm waiting for the proof to get approved by the client, and then I'm waiting for my embroidery team to get back to me to let me know, where we are in the process or something like that. So that's a little different because you've done all you can do. But sometimes if a project is really big, I don't want to spend like 4 hours only doing this one thing. So I may have to do an hour or a half hour and get those things done. But I would say just understanding that everything doesn't happen overnight. Or actually probably 1% of things happen overnight. The only thing that I know happens overnight is you can get a good night's sleep overnight. I was able to actually get some emails responded to that I literally sent. I think it was like 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning, and I got responded to by the time I woke up, and I was like, whoa. But I think those were people that out of the country, and so they were on their daytime. But anyway, I think that we need to stick with a thing. Don't give up on a thing because you don't get immediate results. Just know that sometimes, I can tell you, I got an opportunity last week that I applied to in December of 2019. I applied in 2019. I think I had to submit some materials early last year. I know it was in August of 2020 that I met with someone that worked there. I interviewed with someone, and I never heard till August. So it's 10 months later from that date that the opportunity actually presented itself. And I still don't have a project. So it doesn't happen overnight. It takes a long time. Some things take a long time. But the more you grind at it, the more you put in, the more seeds you sow, you increase the opportunity of reaping. So continue to sow the seeds and be intentional about the seeds that you sow. I was outside in my backyard yesterday and I was putting grass seed. There's a couple of little pockets that I feel like, doesn't have enough grass in it. And I went out there and I put grass seed. And I know for a fact grass is going to grow because that's the seeds that I sowed. So when you are sowing your seeds, be intentional about the seeds that you're sowing, because we're not sowing them for nothing, and be cautious to nurture them. So if you're applying for a job at a particular company, see if you can meet somebody that works there. Or if you know somebody that knows somebody, ask for an introduction. Do what you need to do to increase your chances of getting there. But if we continuously give up on things, we're never going to get there. So keep some things on your plate and realize that, God is working with you. He didn't forget about your dreams. He didn't forget about your destiny. He didn't forget about your prayers. He heard every one of them. He heard every prayer, even when it was a whisper, even when all you did is raise your hands and let tears stream down your face. He knows all about it. And you're not too old. It's not too late. Just stay in the game. Delay is not denial. And on this day, it's not over, and you may have a praise report before today is over. Make this a winning day. Have a blessed one.